May 6, 2022, a Friday. A couple in their early 20s walks into a birthday party in Hanley, Stoke-on-Trent, England. Security cameras pick them up at 7:15 in the evening, him in front, her right behind. They look fine, normal, like two people showing up to a work event, which is exactly what this was. One of them wouldn't survive the night. Let me walk you through the 5 hours that changed everything, and I'll start with who these two people were. Ryan Watson, 24, grew up on the Wirral Peninsula, that's northwest England, right across the river from Liverpool. Went to Wirral Grammar School for Boys, then Liverpool John Moores University, where he got a business studies degree. But here's what tells you more about Ryan than any degree. After university, he didn't go into banking or sales or any of the obvious business grad paths. He became a support worker at Headway. That's a charity for people recovering from brain injuries. So his actual day-to-day job was showing up and helping people through one of the hardest things a person can go through. At 24, that was his choice. Alice Wood, 23, also from the Wirral, grew up in Neston, just a few miles from where Ryan was raised. And academically, honestly, she was impressive. She got a scholarship to Fitzwilliam College, Cambridge. That's not something that just happens. She later transferred to the University of Manchester, where she studied theology, philosophy, and ethics. At the time all of this went down, she was prepping for her final exams and had already locked in a scholarship for a part-time research master's back at Cambridge. So on paper, bright future. Excellent student, small-town girl with big academic credentials. Nothing that screams trouble. She and Ryan got together in March 2020, moved fast, engaged by September of that year, bought a house together on Oak Street in Road Heath, Cheshire, by October 2021. If you saw their life from the outside, you'd think they had it figured out. Young couple, engaged, homeowners before 25, the whole thing. But the inside of a relationship and the outside of a relationship are often two very different things. And what was happening between Ryan and Alice behind closed doors? Well, that depends entirely on whose version you believe, and we'll get to that. So this birthday party. It was for a service user at Headway, one of the people Ryan worked with. Staff and service users were invited, casual thing. Ryan and Alice showed up together at 7:15 p.m. Cameras got them walking in. For the first part of the evening, nothing seemed off. People were drinking, chatting, doing what people do at parties. But somewhere along the way, the vibe between Ryan and Alice started to shift. One woman at the party later described Alice as a bit cold. Not hostile, not causing a scene, just off, removed. And then there's Tiffany Faraday. She was another guest, and she'd become a key witness later on. Faraday told the court that she and Ryan had clicked at the party. They were just talking. Nothing inappropriate, nothing romantic as far as anyone could tell. Just two people having a good conversation. But Alice was, in Faraday's words, pretty much left out. So picture this from Alice's perspective. You're at your fiancé's work event. You maybe don't know a lot of these people that well. And your fiancé is across the room deep in conversation with another woman, seemingly having a great time, while you're kind of standing there. Something was building in Alice that night. Call it jealousy, insecurity, resentment, whatever label you want. It was there, and it was growing. Both of them were drinking. That part matters too. Eventually, the party started winding down. Time to go home. And right away, there was friction, an argument about who was driving. Alice ended up behind the wheel of Ryan's Fiat Punto. CCTV caught them walking to the car together after leaving. Still side by side, still looking like a couple. You'd never guess what was coming. Alice drove them home. She'd been drinking all night and knew she was over the limit, but got behind the wheel anyway. And somewhere on the drive back, the argument started. Ryan accused her of flirting with other men at the party, called her a told her she'd embarrassed him in front of everyone. What we do know is that by the time they pulled up to their house on Oak Street, whatever was said in that car had made things significantly worse. The evening had started with tension at a party. Now it was a full-blown fight between two drunk people in the middle of the night. And it didn't stop when they got inside. Once they got home, things escalated fast. Alice wanted to leave. She wanted to call her dad to come pick her up, but she couldn't find her phone. She kept asking Ryan to let her use his. And according to her, that's when he snapped. She said Ryan grabbed her by her hair extensions and leaned her head over the kitchen hob, that's the stovetop, while holding the ignition switch, said to her, "Ask me one more time. Now, I have no way of verifying this and neither do you." This is Alice's account of what happened behind closed doors. There were no cameras inside the house, no witnesses, just two people in a heated argument in the middle of the night after hours of drinking. Whether this happened exactly the way she described it, or whether she's exaggerating, or whether it didn't happen at all, that's something you'll have to weigh for yourself as this story goes on. What happened next? Moved outside. And that part isn't just Alice's word, because the cameras were rolling. Alice went to her car, her own Ford Fiesta this time, not Ryan's Punto. She said she was going to drive to her mom's house. Ryan came outside after her. The argument resumed. Neighbors heard it, shouting, doors slamming, engine revving. According to Alice, she tried to end it, told Ryan, "Just go inside, just go to bed and I'll be back in the morning. I'm going to go to my mom's." And according to her, Ryan's answer was, "Your mom's dead." She said he threatened to send someone to have her mother knifed up. Again, maybe he said it. People say horrible things in the heat of a drunken fight. Or maybe he didn't, and Alice needed a justification for what came next. We'll never know for sure. But what came next isn't in dispute, because the cameras were rolling. I need you to follow this sequence closely. Alice reversed the Fiesta out of the parking area. Sloppy. She hit Ryan's car, a bin, a bollard on the way out. Ryan at this point was walking away, physically moving away from the car, away from the situation. Then Alice turned the car toward him. First time, she reversed toward Ryan, missed him, just barely. Second time, seconds later, she drove at him again. This time, she connected. Ryan went up onto the bonnet, hit the windshield. Alice later said she only meant to swerve near him, to scare him, and that she was shocked when he ended up on the hood. She said, "He'd scared me and I know that doesn't make it excusable. But in my head at that time I just felt so frightened and I wanted him to feel like I did." After this second impact, Ryan somehow got back to his feet. He'd just been hit by a car hard enough to go onto the windshield, and he stood up. He started walking away. Do you understand what that means? He was leaving. He was removing himself. The situation could have ended right there. Third time, Alice drove at him again. Ryan went under the car, and she kept going. 158 meters, that's over 500 feet. She drove the length of 1.5 football fields with Ryan Watson trapped underneath the Ford Fiesta, his body dragging along the road. She later said the car felt like it wasn't accelerating right. That's why she stopped. Not because she knew a human being was under there, just because the car felt off. When she finally got out and looked, she saw Ryan beneath the car. She said, "It was like stepping into a nightmare because I could see Ryan underneath the car. It was like I was in hell. It didn't seem real." She went to a nearby house, knocked on the door and said, "Please phone an ambulance. I think I've run over my boyfriend." She thinks. Paramedics got to Sandbach Road, found Ryan under the Fiesta. The injuries from being hit multiple times and dragged 500+ feet were catastrophic. There was nothing they could do. Ryan Watson died. 24 years old. Police arrested Alice, suspicion of murder, and when the officer cuffed her, she didn't fight it, didn't protest, didn't say, "This is a mistake," or "It was an accident." Here's what she said, tears running down her face. "It's fine. I deserve it." I want you to really think about those words. If you just accidentally killed the person you love, if this was truly a tragic mistake, a nightmare you stumbled into, would your immediate reaction to being arrested for murder be, "I deserve it"? Or do those words sound like someone who knows? Alice was charged with murder. She denied it. Forget everything she said when they arrested her. Now she was denying all charges. Denied the alternative count of manslaughter too. Her position now was that this was a tragic accident. The case headed to Chester Crown Court. 3-week trial, 13 days of evidence. The prosecution, led by Andrew Ford, wasn't subtle about their theory. Alice lost her temper. She was drunk, she was jealous, and she used a 2-ton vehicle as a weapon. They walked the jury through the CCTV footage, the 3 movements of the car, the gaps between each one. Their argument was that each movement was a separate decision. After the near miss, she could have stopped. After the windshield impact, when Ryan got up and walked away, she absolutely could have stopped. She didn't. She accelerated into him a third time and then drove 158 meters. They also pushed back hard on Alice's claims about Ryan's behavior, the hair-grabbing, the hob, the threats about her mother. The prosecution noted that Ryan wasn't there to defend himself against any of it. Convenient, they implied, that the only witness to Ryan's alleged violence was the woman who killed him. And the alcohol defense? The prosecution pointed out that someone too impaired to form intent probably can't start a car, reverse it around multiple obstacles, change direction, aim at a specific person, and then drive over 500 feet in a straight line. She was drunk, sure, but she was functional enough to operate that vehicle with clear direction and purpose. The defense had their own version. Alice was intoxicated. She was scared. Ryan had been physical with her, had threatened her mother. She only meant to frighten him, never to hurt him. She didn't see him before the third impact, didn't know he was under the car, and when she found out, she immediately sought help. That's not a murderer, they argued. That's someone in the middle of the worst moment of her life. Alice took the stand. She cried through most of it, described the nightmare, said she was heartbroken, said she'd been seeing medical professionals since Ryan's death because she was struggling. She accepted causing Ryan's death, but denied, firmly and repeatedly, doing it on purpose. One detail from the trial I keep thinking about. On the first day of proceedings, Alice was led from the prison van to the courthouse in handcuffs. Under her arm, she had a book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. If you're not familiar, it's basically the foundational text of Stoic philosophy, about controlling your emotions, not being ruled by anger, meeting chaos with reason and calm. A woman charged with killing her fiancé in a jealous rage, walking into her murder trial with a book about self-control. Make of that what you will. The court also heard that after Ryan's death, while Alice sat in prison awaiting trial, her university went ahead and awarded her the theology, philosophy, and ethics degree based on coursework she'd already completed. The Cambridge scholarship was still waiting for her too. All that potential, all that academic achievement, and she was sitting in a defendant's dock at Crown Court. 13 days of trial, hours of CCTV footage, dozens of witnesses. The jury got the case, and they didn't need long, less than 8 hours. That's it. For a 3-week murder trial, less than 8 hours of deliberation. And when they came back, it was unanimous. All 12. Guilty of murder, not manslaughter, not accidental death, not a tragic mistake by a scared, drunk young woman who never meant for any of this to happen. Murder. Alice showed nothing when the verdict was read. No tears, no reaction. Judge Michael Leeming looked at her and said, "You have been convicted of the murder of Ryan Watson. There is only one sentence that the law allows, and that is life imprisonment. Minimum term, 18 years. She was 23. She'll be 41 before anyone even considers letting her out. And considered doesn't mean released.